So I did a project for a top 10 agency for a telecommunications company. The client had budget to spend, and the eyes lit up around the table, as you would imagine. Nothing better than a client with money to spend on a particular deadline. And he just decided that the best way to do that, he just woke up one morning and thought, let's just redesign the shop, the commerce end of the website, which is quite a risky thing to do. And I couldn't particularly see the value in that. I couldn't understand what the business need was, and I couldn't understand how it would represent users and what they actually wanted. So, what was the existing problem with the current shop, for example? I mean, why even do it? So I pushed back on it and said, I would like to take this scenario into user testing, and I would actually like to find out from real users what they think about this idea of having a new shop and what the features they would like from it. You could imagine that the people I was working with were in fear of seeing this project go up in smoke, particularly when I said that the answer to that question would represent about 10% of the budget. But I was pretty confident we would do a project. For me, it was just about what type of project we would do. And so I asked the client if he could tell me the last time he had bought a phone and a tariff, either in a shop or on a website. And he couldn't ever remember doing it. And so I said to him, well, you must have bought a phone at some point. No, never. For your daughter? No, never. And I said to him, well, you're a very senior member of the business here. I suspect that you come out of a meeting every 4 to 6 weeks. Your PA has already got the latest handset from Nokia or Siemens or whoever was making phones at that time. She's transferred all the contacts for you. She's done all the hard work, and she hands it to you, and you basically get to try out the latest handset for a few weeks. He said, yeah, you see a lot. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I said, well, I need to be reminding you that whilst you're really good at running this business, you're not the target audience. If you're not out there buying phones and tariffs, then how could you know what your customers really want? He was quite challenged by that. And so I suggested that he came to the testing that we were doing in the evenings after work. Everybody told me he wouldn't turn up, but sure enough, maybe it was the good beer in the fridge, I'm not sure, but he did turn up. And he sat forward with his elbows on his knees, and he was glued to the glass as he listened to one after another of his customers coming into a room telling the invigilator exactly what they thought of the commerce end of the existing website. And he said, this has been one of the most revealing things I've done in the business in 10 years. And from there we were able to shape the project. We were able to really understand what people wanted and add value. And I worked in a very small team on it. But actually, for the first time and the only time in my career, almost the only time, we won an award for it. And regularly, the three of us who worked on that challenge meet up and just pat ourselves on the back and tell each other how great we were. But it was quite nice to be recognised in the industry for having solved what I think was a business challenge. Whereas I think what happens a lot in the industry is that projects exist purely to win the award. For us, it was a business challenge, and then we were rewarded for it. So, yeah, I was very proud of that, and I still remember it, even though it was several years ago. So, yeah. I think the first thing is that what type of stakeholder are you engaged with? Is it somebody in middle tier management who genuinely does understand customer needs, or is it a very senior director who's absolutely completely detached from whole parts of the business? So figure out where the stakeholder sits in the business, and then construct your argument accordingly. Try and imagine what their needs are as a stakeholder. Be polite and slightly humorous when being firm. I couldn't have asked that guy if he'd ever bought a mobile phone if I couldn't have done it with politeness and with a little bit of a smile on my face, and it worked. So just read the other person and as I say, be polite. Invite the stakeholder to participate. It would not have worked if he had not come along that evening and really listened to what his audience was saying about his website. I continually use the phrase, and we use it in our work now, what's the problem really? What are we really faced with here? Not a client with some money to spend on a particular date before the end of the business year. What's the real problem? And continually keep asking yourself that question, and if you do, you will eventually arrive at an answer. And most importantly, final point is, don't waste the project budget just doing what you're told to do. Think about how to spend it well. And if you do that with integrity, the client will come back to you time and time and time again and spend money with you over what will probably be several years. So yeah, that would be my top 5 tips.